Okay, so there is now well under 100 days to go until the Scottish referendum of September the 18th. Well under 100 days. Tomorrow there will be a big debate between Alistair Darling of the No campaign, Better Together, and Alex Salmond, the leader of the SNP and representative of the Yes campaign, to divide the United Kingdom, which is what it is. I've made no sort of pretense as to where my position is. I'm a staunch unionist. So you could say this video is biased, whatever. I believe right now it's too close, quite frankly, to put any pretense out there. And I'm pretty angry because when I see the sort of rhetoric coming from some Scottish nationalists, it's not only frustrating, it's worrying. I want to quote 3 examples of what I consider to be really toxic nationalism. Firstly, I want to say I'm not Scottish, but that doesn't mean I can't have an opinion. I am British, and I believe that the outcome of September the 18th will not only decide the future of Scotland, it will actually determine the future of the United Kingdom. So of course it's normal for other British people to have a view on this. I think it would be very strange if we didn't. And by the way, I'm not English, I'm Celtic, so that's just for the record. Okay, I'm talking about toxic Scottish nationalism here, and how so much of the Yes campaign is basically based on a very toxic sort of agenda and very toxic rhetoric. I'll give you 3 examples. The Labour MP well, actually, I'll give you some other examples first. Firstly, tomorrow, like I said, there's a big debate, so I'll start with that. Already, Pete Wishart, who's an SNP MP for Perth and North Perthshire, has claimed that the slaughter will be worse than the Bannockburn reenactment. If you don't know Scottish history, Bannockburn was a major battle in the year 1314, 700 years ago. It was a Scottish victory over the English during the Scottish Wars of Independence, which is something that nationalists obsess about. Unquestionably an important historical event, but that is the key word, historical. Now for this MSP to say that the slaughter will be worse than Bannockburn, obviously referring to his opinion that Alistair Darling is going to lose. Incidentally, I completely trust Alistair Darling. I think he's a very skilled debater. I think he can easily match Alex Salmond. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But to say that the slaughter is worse than Bannockburn, will be worse than Bannockburn, is bad enough. But to say it on this of all days, well, yesterday of all days, why is that significant? Yesterday was the centenary, I've already made 2 videos about it, of World War I, a conflict in which 17 million people died. So for him to choose yesterday of all days to make that sort of crude statement was, I think, rather vile. Now, okay, he's a yes person. He's got a right to have his opinion. He would have a right to say something like, I hope Alex Salmond wins, or even, you know, fair enough, the tensions are building. He can say something like, I don't know, Alistair Darling is going to be soundly beaten, something like that. But to use a militaristic context and to say that it will be worse than Bannockburn, I think is just utterly crude. On a day that the country as a whole, is remembering 17 million dead of World War I. I just think that's utterly crude. Another incident. Lloyd Quinnan, who's a former MSP, recently made a speech at a Yes campaign, where he actually went and said that parents who vote no are bad parents. I mean, that's just... So, in other words, if a mother or father has the opinion that the United Kingdom is stronger together, then they're a bad parent. My view on that is, how dare he dictate that someone is a bad parent because of their political opinion? And actually, from what I have seen, it's the yes people who are indoctrinating children to endorse their toxic agenda, which is based on a Lemonist mentality. The third situation I want to mention is the Labour MP Jim Murphy. He's a Glasgow MP. He's went on an energetic campaign around Scotland. He's calling it 100 times in 100 days tour, to talk about why Scotland is better as part of the United Kingdom. Now, I saw one clip of him in Ayr, and barely had he been speaking when Scottish nationalists were trying to shout him down with claims that he is a traitor to Scotland. Now, this is the sort of attitude that so many Scottish nationalists, I'm not talking about everyone, but so many Scottish nationalists take. If you vote no, if you want to stay in the United Kingdom, if you believe that Scotland is better than the United Kingdom, then you're not a real Scot. You're a traitor. You're pro-English scum. I'm not exaggerating. This is the sort of things they come out with, and it's utterly toxic. You know, the No campaign, Better Together, has been accused of negativity, but it isn't Better Together that's promoting a Lemonist mentality. Better Together has been reaching out and saying that Scottish people are our brothers and sisters, that English, Welsh and Northern Irish do not see Scottish people as foreigners. It's the Yes campaign that's been promoting a Lemonist mentality. They've been promoting the dangerous distortion that all English people are one and the same. They're the ones saying that, oh, it's these English Tory bastards who are trying to take away our freedom. And that's something that really I find intolerable, that they would use this argument about freedom. Let's be clear about this. In Scotland today, people can have an opinion. They can freely join any political party they want, including a party that wants to divide the United Kingdom. They can go to peaceful political rallies. They have the right to jeer an English MP out of the country, as they did with Nigel Farage. I mean, what the hell are they talking about when they whinge about not having freedom? Scottish people are represented by MSPs and MPs. So I really think that when they talk about freedom in this sort of context, when they promote this Lemonist mentality that it's these rich English Tories versus the poor downtrodden Scots, it's actually odious, poisonous distortion. For one thing, it insinuates that all English people are pro-Tory. Now, I'm not English, but I assure you that there's many, many English people who hate the Tories and who would describe themselves as socialists. And one of the arguments actually of the Better Together campaign, those in the Better Together campaign who are of socialist persuasion, they would say it's not about Scotland versus England, it's about Tory ideology versus socialist ideology and the poor coming together. Because there's housing estates in London that could equally rival those in Glasgow. So this idea that only Scotland is being hit by austerity is just a poisonous lie. And it's used by the Yes people to try and stir up anti-English hostility. They would say, oh, we're not anti-English, but just check out some of the websites. If that is the case, then why is it they are branding Scots who vote no, who are planning to vote no, as being pro-English? Like this is about England versus Scotland. This is not about England versus Scotland, it's about the United Kingdom. So, check out that video of Jim Murphy in Ayr. He was being a lot more respectful to them than they were to him. And all they were doing was shouting him down and calling him a traitor And it's to his credit that he took that without using the same sort of language. How dare they call Jim Murphy a traitor? You don't have to support the Labour Party to recognise that this is a man who's devoted years to public service. Back in November, when the Glasgow helicopter tragedy occurred, he was one of the first on the scene. I would argue he's one of Britain's best MPs right now. He's clearly a dedicated public servant. He's tirelessly campaigning around 100 Scottish towns to argue that Scotland is better in the Union. Now, if he was a traitor, if he hated Scotland, as these nationalists claim, would he even bother doing that? Of course not. The Scottish nationalist mentality, so much of it, is based on lies. It's based on the idea that the English are different from the Scottish in the sense of they promote the idea that all the English are lords and ladies who live the high life, who are rich, who vote Tory. And it's just rubbish. And they deny that they are motivated by anti-English racism, but if you look at some of the forums where Scottish nationalists are commentating, if that is going to be the future of Scotland, it's frankly worrying. Already, I mean, to be quite honest, I cannot wait until September the 19th until this shit is over. I cringe at the idea of the United Kingdom being broken up. Is the UK a perfect country? No, of course it's not. Like any country, it has its problems. But the idea that breaking apart, becoming the first Western developed country in modern times to self-destruct, I think it's madness. And that isn't scaremongering, that is what would happen. Scottish independence means the breakup of the United Kingdom. Let's not beat around the bush about it. That's what it means. That's not scaremongering, that's just a fact. So really, I am fed up with this toxic nationalism. And just for the record, just as a disclaimer, I am not saying that everyone that's going to vote yes is a racist. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that everyone who's going to vote yes is an extremist. I'm sure there are many decent, normal Scots who are planning to vote yes because they believe that it's a better argument, because they've been persuaded by whatever arguments that the yes campaign has put forward. But I urge you, I'm not telling you, I'm urging you, I'm pleading with you, please, please see the bigger picture. Because if you vote yes, there's no going back. The United Kingdom's gone. And I've seen some people who seem to be under the impression that voting yes and Scotland becoming independent, and then somehow Scotland will still be in the UK. I'm sorry, but it won't. If you believe that, please look into it. Because there is no going back from this. There's no going back. You vote yes, the UK is gone. And that's not scaremongering, it's just a fact. So please, stay together. We're one family. We're one British family. Are we perfect? No. Of course there's areas that can improve. Of course, all over the country, councils have been hit by austerity cuts and people have suffered. I don't dispute that. But Scottish independence isn't going to... It's not the answer. It's just not. It equals division. So I wish Alistair Darling well tomorrow night, and I believe that he will do well. I think he's a skilled parliamentarian. I trust him. I can't watch it live because I don't have access to STV, but I'm going to watch it when someone uploads it, and I really, really hope that those voters who are wavering will see the bigger picture and realise that whilst the UK is not perfect, I just hope they see that if in the unlikely event that Scotland actually goes for independence, it will change everything. Please, please understand that. It changes everything. There's no going back. So please see the bigger picture. I'm not telling you what to do, but please, please realise that if Scotland becomes independent, then I'm a foreigner, England's a foreign country, Wales is a foreign country, Northern Ireland's a foreign country. and the United Kingdom is gone. That's what this means.